Ah, yes, ace trades. You know, I would show you my math. I'm not a probabilistic calculus mathematician, but the author of this work is. He, in fact, did some major work with, as I said in the beginning, which you weren't here for. He was a man of reason. He was a man of mathematics and physics. As I said before, he did some pioneering work. He's inventor of the mechanical calculator. I did some pioneering work on probability theory with Pierre de Fermat, and influenced things like probabilistic calculus, laid the foundation for Leibniz's formulation of calculus. So, yeah. Oh, the math doesn't exist. You know, go look it up in Pascal. I'm not my brother's keeper, man. If you want to go look up this evidence for yourself, by all means. I'm not the last person and shred of evidence that you should hang your hat on, right? I really hope that nobody is in this room thinking this is my last hope, right? Like, if I'm a reasonable person, I would say, okay, this is more evidence to add to my whole cache of evidence over here, right? Like this video, what I'm being presented with right now, this is more evidence that I can add to my bucket of evidence, and maybe it goes up, maybe it goes down, but I have different propositions here that can be supported or negated by what the evidence here is being presented is. So I'm not the end all, the final nail in the coffin for anybody. I hope so. If I found out the math doesn't exist, what do you mean by the math doesn't exist? This is probability theory, and this is a decision matrix. What do you mean the math doesn't exist? Let me show you this. Do you mean with respect to, let's just go simple here, the original matrix here? This is a decision matrix. Right here, you might be thinking infinite. What do you mean by infinite? Well, this, by the way, this is supported by a conditional presupposition, like we said in the very beginning. He talks about, like, suppose God exists. Suppose it's a God like that the Christians and their infinite wisdom tell us is like, what? Oh, well, it's got to be a God that's infinite. It's beyond all reasons, beyond all comprehension. Okay, well, if that's an if. If that God exists, then this follows. Okay, this is conditional presupposition. If that God exists right here, then he goes in this box. That's it. That's all we're saying. So I don't know what you mean by the math doesn't exist. It's supported by a conditional presupposition in the text, and I will show you where that is as well. Right. Here. He says on the prior page, right? If there is a God, I haven't even highlighted it for you yet. He's infinitely, and if there's a God, and if he's infinitely beyond our comprehension, then we just can't come to know this God. He bears no relation to us. If that's a God like that, and this is actually what got us into the wager, because the wager is not an evidential argument for God. It's a pragmatic argument for God. And all this is saying, not only should I not be the only evidence in your evidence bucket, but this shouldn't be the only evidence in your evidence bucket. He doesn't think that there are only pragmatic arguments for God's existence right here. He says, this is just one of them. He thinks that there are other evidences right here, right? Scripture and the rest. And we can assume that since he's using a rational argument, albeit a rational argument with respect to pragmatic value, that there are other rational arguments with respect to evidential value to proving God's existence.